Hello, my name is Miranda and welcome back to another return from yet another hiatus. Hello, it's me, I'm back. So today I just want to talk to you about some books that are being released this year that I am excited about. Simple as that. Some of them, because this is the end of January, some of them have already come out, but I'm still excited about them, and I kind of want to have this list as a memory aid for me, if nothing else, so that I can look back at the end of the year and be like, oh yeah, I was excited about those books. Maybe I'll like try and read them at some point. They're not necessarily books that I'm going to buy. Some of them I already have proofs of because I've requested them. Yeah, I'm not necessarily going to like run out and buy them because I'm trying not to do that. But they're just books that I'm excited about generally, and I want to talk about them a little bit. So I'm going to try and speed through these quite quickly, including especially the January ones, which are already out, which start off with Empireworld by Sathnam Sanghera. I read Empireland by him at the end of last year, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really entertaining and informative kind of introduction into a history of the British Empire and how its legacies are still felt in Britain today. So Empireworld, as the name suggests, is a more kind of global look at British imperialism. While obviously imperialism is global and you need to study it globally, Empireland, I mean, the kind of subtitles tell you, the subtitle for Empireland is How Imperialism Has Shaped Modern Britain, and the one for Empireworld is How British Imperialism Shaped the Globe. So it's like looking outwards more. And yeah, because I really enjoyed this, I'm sure I'll get to Empireworld at some point. It's not one that I'm like gonna run out and pick up instantly because I finished this so recently. But yeah, it's definitely one that I'm aware of and I'm excited about. Next is another non-fiction, which is Survivors by Hannah Durkin. This is the lost stories of the last captives of the Atlantic slave trade. So it's about the last boat last ship that sailed across the Atlantic as part of the slave trade, which is called the Clotilda. I think this book has a slightly different title in the US maybe. But yeah, it's about the people from that boat and their descendants and what happened to them. So there were 110 people on this boat who were taken from Africa to the US, and yeah, this book examines all of their stories and their descendants. I'm guessing it's not going to do all of them, but I think it's a big undertaking, and I'm intrigued to see how it's gonna pan out in this book. Next is a novel called My Friends by Hisham Matar. This is about a group of young friends who originally are from Libya. They're studying in Edinburgh, I think, and then they go to London, and it's about their kind of like friendship and relationships and what happens to them when there is a revolution in Libya and they have to kind of decide what they want to do with their lives, and how to reconcile themselves living in London and in the UK with the kind of past that they have left behind in Libya. I feel like I've heard a lot about it, couldn't tell you where from, but I feel like it's been swirling around in my brain, and I'm excited. Next is one that I already have a proof of. It is already out as well, and that is Top Doll by Karen McCarthy Woolf. This is just one that I read the synopsis and I was like, I need to have this. It's about a reclusive billionaire who dies and leaves behind a massive collection of art and also dolls. And then the book is her life being retold to you by the dolls, I think. And that just sounds absolute batshit, so I'm very much here for it. The last of the January books is Poor Dear by Claire Oshetsky. I don't actually know what this is about at all. Maybe I'll find out and then tell you. But I know that Claire Oshetsky wrote Sweat, which I kind of also wanted to read and then forgot about. And then I've been hearing a lot of really good things from people who've read Poor Dear this month about it being very moving and sad. Claire Oshetsky is also a non-binary author, and gotta, big up my non-binary pals. Turns out Poor Dear is about a young girl whose best friend dies, and then she kind of, It's about her making up weird whimsical tales to deal with that. I don't know, but it sounds cool and lots of people say it's made them cry, so I'm into it. So now moving into February, books that actually haven't come out yet. First of all is Blessings by Chukwuebuka Ibeh. This is about a young queer boy who gets sent to a kind of strict Christian boarding school, and it's about him and his parents and how they kind of manage this decision, and his life I guess at the boarding school afterwards. I don't really know, but I'm intrigued. Next is Where There Was Fire by Manuel Arias. This is a kind of family epic set in Costa Rica, starting with I think a big fire at a banana plantation that kind of is possibly I don't know, trying to cover something up, but then it goes on to talk about, like, you know, explore the family and the kind of repercussions of this. Love me a family epic. Don't know anything about Costa Rica. Let's do it. Next is My Heavenly Favourite by Lucas Rijneveld, translated by Michelle Hutchison. This is next book from well, obviously Lucas Rijneveld, who won the International Booker Prize a couple of years ago, I forget when. He's the author of The Discomfort of Evening, which I haven't read, but again, want to. And this is about a small community, a young teenage girl kind of having an obsessive friendship with an older vet, and weird things happening in their community. And yeah, again, Lucas Rijneveld is another trans non-binary author, and I didn't know this until very recently, which, you know, I'm now happy that I know this and makes me want to read this all the more. Next is Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange, who wrote There, which I read last year again, and I really liked it. I think I didn't enjoy it maybe as much as I could have done if I'd read it a bit better on my end. And yeah, this is about long Native American history, exploring lots of different characters. I think over like 200 years or something. Some of them are the same characters from There, which I think is going to be interesting. So yeah, I love Tommy Orange's writing, so I'm really excited about this one. I didn't realise, but we've moved on to March. Wandering Stars is published in March. The next one also is, and it's another one I have a proof of, which is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I adored Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle when I read it like a few years ago. I still haven't managed to read a second one yet. I'm very excited about that one too. But yeah, this is about, I think, an island where it's like the last island on Earth. Everything else has been destroyed by, I don't know, some dystopian something, and it's like, you know, it's a locked island mystery, shall we say. But yeah, I'm very excited about this, and obviously I am, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about it. But yeah, Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle just kind of low-key blew my mind a bit and hurt a lot. So yeah, I was like very impressed with that. Then we have Three Births by Kay Patrick. This is a poetry collection. Kay Patrick wrote Mrs. S, which again I read last year and really liked a lot. And they are another non-binary author, my guys. And yeah, I think I didn't love Mrs. S as much as I was hoping to, but I'm very, very excited about a collection of poetry, because I think Kay Patrick's writing style will really lend itself to poetry. Next up in April, we have An African History of Africa by Zeinab Badawi. This is a pretty monster undertaking, to be honest, because it's supposedly a history of the entirety of Africa, from the very beginning of humanity all the way up to kind of like revolutions and present day. And I am, yeah, just incredibly intrigued to see how that all works together. I'm very interested in African history, and yeah, this sounds like a really, really great one that's going to centre, you know, African's perspective. Next is Whalefall by Elizabeth O'Connor. This is a debut, and it sounds very like, I'm now just realising, The Colony by Audrey McGee, which I read a couple of years ago and adored. which is probably why subconsciously I requested this one. It's about it's set in the 1930s, and it's about a young girl living on a very remote, isolated island, and then two anthropologists come to visit the island, and things happen. She wants to be free, and that's literally the plot of The Colony, but with a different setting and different characters. So yeah, I wanna read it though. Next is The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard. This is a book that I originally read the description of and I could not pass it at all. I was like, what the hell is going on here? It's about a village which has two different versions of the village, one valley apart. One of them is 20 years in the past, one of them is 20 years in the future. And there's a kind of like council that has to decide who gets to cross from one to the other at different times. And then there's a friend, the main character finds out that her friend has died, basically by accident, or will die, and in the future version of the village is dead. And yeah, I love me a bit of weird speculativeness. It might be a bit heavy on the sci-fi for me, but we'll see what happens. I'm, yeah, interested. Next in May, we have possibly the book I'm most excited for this year, which is Enlightenment by Sarah Perry. I love Sarah Perry. I love The Essex Serpent. I loved Melmoth. I am so excited about this because not only is it her, but the description and the synopsis sounds incredible. It's about friends kind of falling in love, but then also falling in love with a ghost who maybe haunts a manor, but the ghost is an astronomer, and I don't know, the vibes sound so on point, and yeah, it's about friends who work in museum, astronomy, people falling in love, weirdness, ghosts. What is there not to like? Next up is Bad Habit by Alana S. Portero, translated by Mara Faye Letham. This is a book about a trans woman kind of discovering the underworld of Madrid. I don't know, sounds fascinating. Next is Woodworm by Layla Martinez, translated by Sophie Hughes and Annie McDermott. This is about a grandmother and a granddaughter living in an old house that is haunted, and then the granddaughter is accused of a terrible crime. I don't know, creepy, ghosty, I'm into it. This line of the description really got me. Martinez mixes horror and folklore to tell a story of class, rural tradition and historical wounds and revenge. Yes, please. Moving on to June, we have The Secret Public, How LGBTQ Performers Shaped Popular Culture, by John Savage. So this is looking at how queer culture and queer performers and queer artists became mainstream in the 50s to 70s, I believe. And yeah, again, history, queer history, yes please. Next is Little Rot by Akwaeke Emezi. I love Akwaeke Emezi. I haven't read everything of them that they've written because it's a lot. They keep churning out books faster than I can read them, and I can't keep up because they've written in so many different genres at this point. Not everything that they've written has interested me, but this does. It's kind of contemporary novel about friends and people being gay, partying, and dark things happening in revenge. I don't really know. I don't really care. I'm interested, and yeah, I'll be definitely looking out for reviews when this one comes out. Next is more poetry, more trans non-binary poetry as well, which is Them by Harry Josephine Giles. I don't know much about this apart from it's poetry about transness and gender and stuff, and I'm interested, yes please. Next is Freakslaw by Jane Flett, and honestly, I'm just going to read the description of this that I found online, because that's what sold it to me, and I don't think I can do it any more justice because this shit's fucking weird and I love it. Okay. It's the summer of 97 and the repressed Scottish town of Pitlaw is itching for a change. Enter the Freakslaw, a travelling funfair populated by deviant queers, a contortionist witch, the most powerful fortune teller and other architects of mayhem. It doesn't take long for the Freakslaw folk to infiltrate Pitlaw's grey world, where the town's teenagers, none more so than Ruth and Derek, are seduced by neon charms and the possibility of escape. But beneath it all, these newcomers are harbouring a darker desire, revenge, more revenge. And as tensions reach fever pitch between the stoic locals and the dazzling intruders, a violence that's been simmering for centuries is about to be unleashed. Hi. Like, the combination of that synopsis and the cover, I'm sold. I will be there on release date, banging down the doors at Transworld Publishers Limited. Next is Passiontide by Monique Roffey, another one that I don't know very much about, but loved The Mermaid of Black Conch. So this is about a small Caribbean island, and a woman is found dead on it one morning. That's all we know, but I'm interested. Next, another debut, Spoiled Creatures by Amy Twigg. This is about I think women only like commune, which kind of turns into a cult. I don't know, but I'm interested. I'm interested in this. Yeah, but I saw an interview with the author and she was like, you know, she wanted to look at like women's only spaces and how that can be a kind of toxic thing, but we don't want it to be, or you know what it means to have a women's only space, and also cults. So yes, please, thank you. August, we're almost there. We have a book that I literally don't know anything about it, but I am again gonna be there on release day or beforehand if I can, banging down the doors, and that is The Echoes by Evie Wilde. I loved the Bass Rock. I did not love All the Birds Singing, but it was still very good. Well, no. Parts of it were very good. It had a lot of potential. I think the storytelling method kind of did it a bit of a disservice, but I liked it a lot, and it still makes me feel very secure in Evie Wilde's like writing and ideas, and anything I want to write, and anything she writes I want to read. So okay, this is the first time I have read a synopsis of this, so now I'm even more excited. Max didn't believe in an afterlife until he died. Now, as a reluctant ghost trying to work out why he remains, he watches his girlfriend Hannah lost in grief in the flat they shared and begins to realise how much of her life was invisible to him. Yeah, it says multiple generations, saga, couple torn apart by death, grief. It's so dramatic. I'm fucking down. Yes, please. And last but not least is Mammoth by Ava Baltazar, translated by Julia Sanchez. I read, Boulder by Ava Baltazar last year. Really enjoyed it, and she has an incredible, like, unique narrative voice and writing style, and I'm very excited that she's coming out with something new. If there are any books that you are looking forward to this year, please let me know, because I feel like my list has been kind of, you know, curated from quite a limited number of sources. I haven't done like a lot of digging, but yeah, if there's anything you want to recommend to me or shout about that you're excited about, please let me know. That's all I have to say, and hopefully I will see you soon.